Have you ever found yourself just going through the motions, asking that question, what is the point of all this? Well, there's a whole philosophy called absurdism that dives straight into that feeling. And believe it or not, it offers a pretty powerful way to find happiness even when life feels completely meaningless.
So to get this, we got to start with a story from Greek mythology about a guy named Sisyphus. Just picture him, standing at the foot of a mountain. His task, his punishment for eternity, is to push this giant, impossibly heavy boulder. So he digs in, he sets his shoulder against the cold stone and starts pushing. It's this agonizing, slow climb. And finally, he gets to the very top, only to feel that horrible, familiar shift. The boulder slips, and it just comes crashing all the way back down to where he started. He just watches it go, and then he turns around, walks back down the mountain, and gets ready to do it all over again. This was the whole point of his punishment from the gods: pointless labor, an effort that leads to absolutely nothing, forever.
Okay, so here's the big, kind of weird question. In the middle of all that absolute soul-crushing pointlessness, is it even possible for Sisyphus to be happy? Just hang on to that thought, because it's the key to this whole thing.
Let's be real. This isn't just some ancient myth. We all have our own boulders we have to push, right? It could be a job that feels like a dead end, or maybe just the day-in, day-out grind of life that feels so repetitive.
You know how it goes. If you just keep asking why about anything, why do I have this job? Why am I even here? Why does this have to happen? Eventually, you just run out of answers. You hit this kind of existential wall, and there's just nothing on the other side.
And that exact conflict, that feeling of hitting a wall, is what the philosopher Albert Camus called the absurd. Now, this is super important. Absurdism isn't just saying, oh, life is meaningless. Nope, that's only half the story. The absurd is the clash, the tension between two things that can't be reconciled.
So let's break that down. On one side, you've got us, human beings. We are just wired to look for meaning, for purpose, for answers to the big questions. And on the other side, you've got this vast, cold, silent universe that offers up, well, nothing. No answers. No inherent purpose. The absurd is that gap between what we desperately want and what the universe actually gives us.
So what do you do then, right? Once you see this fundamental conflict at the heart of everything, how are you even supposed to react?
According to Camus, when you're staring into that abyss, you're really only left with three choices. He pretty much dismisses the first two right away. Physical suicide, that's just giving up on the problem, not solving it. And taking a leap of faith, like turning to religion for all the answers, he calls that philosophical suicide. It's basically just closing your eyes and pretending the absurd isn't there. So that leaves us with option 3, the only one he thinks is truly honest: rebellion. This is the absolute heart of absurdism. It means you fully acknowledge the meaninglessness, you stare the absurd right in the face, and you choose to live a full, passionate life anyway. And honestly, this quote just nails that attitude perfectly. It's this defiant choice to not just get by, but to live with everything you've got, even when you know there's no grand cosmic point to it all.
This is the whole idea. Freedom isn't some prize you get at the end. The freedom is the rebellion. When you live your life on your own terms, your very existence becomes a defiant act against a universe that gives you no terms at all.
So your whole mindset just flips. You stop getting stuck on the unanswerable question, why, and you start opening up a world of possibilities with a new one. Why not?
So what does this rebellion actually look like in real life? It looks like this. It means saying yes to the whole human experience. Why not be a little weird? Why not fall madly in love? Why not take a chance? You live for the sake of living, not for some reward at the end.
Here's a great way to picture it. Imagine it when you're born, you're handed a blank canvas. That's your life. And every experience, every choice is another splash of paint. But here's the absurd twist. The moment you die, that canvas, everything you've painted, your entire life's work, is thrown into a fire. Poof, gone. No trace left for eternity.
So that brings us to the ultimate question, doesn't it? If you know for a fact that your masterpiece will be completely and utterly destroyed, why would you even pick up a paintbrush?
And this is the beautiful, liberating paradox of it all. Because if nothing ultimately matters, then you're totally free. All the pressure is off.
You can't mess up your painting. There's no such thing as failure, because there's no cosmic art critic waiting to judge your work.
So you don't paint for an audience. You don't create for the history books. You do it for the joy of doing it. You play your music not because the universe is listening, but because the act of playing is everything. You create your song, the song of me.
And this takes us right back to our guy on the mountain. See, Sisyphus can't change the punishment. The rock is always going to roll back down. But what he can change is his attitude about it. He fully accepts his absurd reality. The rock might be his fate, but his freedom is in his own mind. The gods thought this would be the ultimate punishment, to show him how meaningless his existence was. But by embracing that very meaninglessness, Sisyphus wins. He finds freedom not by getting away from the struggle, but by owning it completely. And so we land on Camus' most famous line. We don't imagine Sisyphus is happy because he's in denial or because he secretly hopes the rock will stay put one day. We imagine him happy because he finds his meaning not in the goal but in the defiant act of pushing, in the struggle itself. And that leaves us with one last question. What are our boulders, and how can we start finding joy in pushing them?